بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله والحمد حقه كما يستحقه حمدا كثيرا الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله اللهم لعنهم جميعا ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. Last night we spoke about remaining in the state of janaba, and we said likewise with hayd, remaining in the state of hayd deliberately until Fajr breaks the fast. What does that mean? Does that mean that a woman has control over her menstrual cycle? No. That means that she is in the state of hayd until she does the ghusl to cleanse herself from this. So if she becomes cleansed before Fajr, then she must do the ghusl before the Fajr in order for her fast to become valid. However, with the rulings, and we're not going to get into the intricate rulings, they vary between janaba and hayd. Now, when we talk about istihada is not one of the conditions. Taban, when I'm preaching to the males here, the majority of them don't understand these subjects because for them it's just a 7-day no-go zone and that's all they know. Other than that, they don't know what istihada is, they don't know what all these other things are. But istihada does not affect even if a woman is in the greater istihada or a medium istihada where she is required to wash. This does not affect the fast in that manner. The next 2 points that break the fast are probably, one of them is outdated. See, before they used to use what was called a liquid enema. A liquid enema was a form of medicating or cleansing and even in some cases scenting. It's pretty weird, eh? People used to scent their colon. Their colon is your larger intestine. You know how you have your stomach, then you got the smaller intestine, then you got your larger intestine that moves towards the rectum and into the exit. From there, they would place something in there and they would push a liquid, whether there was a big pump that they used to use or even now they use a little pump with a nozzle on it now. And they put the medication. To put this liquid inside the colon breaks the fast. See, they would put where they would cleanse their colon, or they even sometimes I said they would scent it. This breaks the fast. This is different to using a suppository. You know, when you use a suppository, or they call the tahmili. The suppository, the reason a lot of doctors generally medicate with this, and it's actually, a lot of people, you know, when you give them suppository, they don't want to use it. They'd rather take the medicine orally. But the suppository works much quicker because it takes a while for a tablet. For example, you know, when you take your cough medicine, you know, cough medicine in liquid form works quicker than the tablets. Why? Because the liquid form's already aqueous. It's already in its liquid form. And when a medicine's in liquid form, it functions quicker than a tablet that requires to become aqueous. Whereas in the colon where there's moisture, the suppository has that effect. But even though that becomes into a liquid form, it does not break the fast. So you understand what the difference is there? One is a liquid, the other one does become a liquid because once it melts inside the colon, but it doesn't break the fast. So the liquid enema breaks the fast, whereas the solid suppository that's used does not break the fast. The next point that also breaks the fast is when one induces vomiting. Inducing vomiting, something simple, everyone knows. You know, when you place your fingers down your throat and cause yourself to throw up. When you do this, your fast is broken. The moment you make or create the action, create the vomiting, then your fast is broken. It's not when you're, when people dry reach, when people try and make themselves vomit by making noises, that's not the same. That's allowed. You know, sometimes you feel that sickness and you throw up. That's not an issue because it's going to happen. But if I assist the vomiting by putting my fingers down my throat, my fast is broken. Likewise, if I'm vomiting and the vomit gets to my mouth, if I swallow this vomit, my fast is broken. Okay? So if it reaches my mouth, it has to reach your actual mouth, not the back of your throat. Sometimes you go, yeah, it came up and went back down. No. It has to enter your mouth and then you have to actually have swallowed it down. So these are the next 2 points that come to breaking the fast. I put them together because I didn't want to make you feel disgusted in 2 nights in a row. I put them all together on one night. That way I won't affect you tomorrow with anything too abhorrent. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Just a recap on our story because we missed out on one night. We got to the point where we said that people worshipping multiple gods. The multiple god system allows multiple people to get paid. All these priests are getting paid. And this was one of the biggest problems with Akhenaten, the pharaoh. If anyone studied Egyptology, if you look at what archaeologists at the time, especially the Egyptologists, and they speak about the kings of the famous 16th, 17th and 18th dynasties generally. They're the celebrities people like to talk about. But if you look at the Egyptologists, they'll talk about a king called Akhenaten. Akhenaten, unlike all the other kings of Egypt, worshipped one god. And Akhenaten was attacked by the priests in the sense they went against him, that when he died, they removed his cartouche, which is his signing or his symbol or in the hieroglyphics. That was removed because they wanted to eliminate him and his thoughts. And their problem against Akhenaten is he worshipped one god. And that wasn't good for business. So everyone was missing out and getting paid. So they went back to the old system of multiple gods. Each priest that looked after the temple for a specific god would get paid. But the reasons we mentioned that people refused to believe, of the major reasons we said was pride when we spoke about Iblis. Another major reason is the idea of not being accountable. If God does not exist, if I don't believe in God, then I'm not accountable. And this is why when, for example, you're teaching someone about religion, and they tell you, listen, if I become a Muslim, does that mean my parents who were not Muslim go to hell and their parents and their parents? So if that's the case, I won't become a Muslim. Which is very, very stupid idea. Why? Let's say that your parents, by not being Muslim, do not enter paradise. For example, let's take this as an example. Whether you become a Muslim or not will not change the situation. It doesn't mean if I become a Muslim, they go to hell. But if I don't become a Muslim, they'll go to heaven. You can't plead ignorance on something that you know. And this is what happened. You had a lot of famous people. One of them that I read about was Aldous Huxley. And he says, I had motive for not wanting the world to have a meaning. So, you know how they always say the world really doesn't have a meaning. But he said, I have motive. Why? Like, there's no God, there's no accountability. You have a reason behind it. He said the philosophy of meaninglessness was essentially an instrument of liberation, sexual and political. So the fact when the world has no meaning, what can I do? Anything I want. If there's no rules, there's nothing I'm governed by, there is nothing moral, there is nothing ethical. You see this in the world you live in today. In America, if you kill someone, you get charged with murder. But if you join the military and kill some random in the Middle East, you're a war hero. Big difference. Because the laws apply where they want them to apply. But under God's law, murder is murder. You kill someone here, you kill someone there, it's murder. The only time that killing is justified is under the laws that God allows. God allows this, and then it's not murder. And there's rules. It's not just a free-for-all. There's a system in how everything is done. And this is why people don't want God to exist, because of these moral constraints. And so even though that they're not confident that God doesn't exist, they will act this way and somehow try and remove the idea from their head. Sometimes people tell you, look, I don't believe. Why? Because I've had a bad experience. You know, someone meets a hypocrite. You know, sometimes you're sitting in a masjid and you meet a man and he's got the masbah in his hand. He's reading the Aqumel, weeping the nights. He's got a long flowing beard. He's got a mark of 1,000,000 prostrations. And he has all the attributes of piety. And then you find out after dealing with him, he rips you off. And in some way. And then you find out it's all farcical. This person did not believe. And because of this experience, that's it. You say, I don't want to deal with religion anymore. Now the question lies, do you deal like this with everything? If someone gives you a counterfeit $100 bill, do you say, that's it, I'll never use money again? Why? Because there's counterfeit money out there. Do you deal in that manner, or do you become more what? Discerning. You become more alert that I need to be wary, because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam warned us of the hypocrites. So that is not a justifiable excuse in not following. But what instead, the existence of counterfeits indicates what? That there is real money. The existence of hypocrites indicates that there are real believers. It indicates this because someone had to make a copy of the original, because the original is good. The original is right. And this is why that they exist. And people don't give up on the real thing because they have attained something false with everything, except for some reason religion plays this role. Allah Azza wa Jal with the people of Thamud, when He mentions sending Salih to Thamud, He calls him Akhahum Salih. This is the beauty of the way God sends the message. Allah never sends a prophet with a big stick that comes around beating people. You know, could you imagine the prophets were like the people around the shrine of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You know that look. You know that look, that condemning look, where they look at you and they give you that glare that you're not welcome here. You know, kafir, zindiq, mushrik, rafidi. The prophets were never sent in this way, and the prophets were dealing with the most despicable of creation. Mushrikeen, people that worshipped other than God, people that engaged in the most illicit actions. Allah says, and we sent to them their brother Salih. Even Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi wa salam alayhi, the famous saying we all know by now, that people are of two types. Your brother in faith. The other one's also a brotherhood. When it says you're equal, it means it's a different brotherhood. You're equal in creation. That this person's a human, you are a human. You are not better than them. Who judges who's better than who? Allah Azza wa Jal, and that's it. So Allah Azza wa Jal sends Salih. He comes in the method of brotherhood. Calls people to religion in brotherhood. So he says to them, قال يا قوم اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. Calls them and says, worship God. There is no God other than Allah. We said he did his da'wah for how long? Over 100 years. From 16 to 120, he was calling people to believe in God. And as usual, they did not increase in belief. Instead, they increased in being stubborn and staunch against what he called them to. Eventually, they turned against him and said, we've had enough. But listen, at no point was he forcing them. They just had enough of seeing him being good. They had enough of seeing him being righteous. They couldn't accept that this man was a good man. It was too much for them. Why is this man so good? And you'll find this with atheists in general. Why do they call them angry atheists? Have you ever noticed atheists, they're always very angry. When they talk to people, they have this hatred within them. And you think, why do you hate us? Because let's look at the premise. What is atheism all about? It's a belief that God does not exist. And this is something very simple. I'll ask everyone. If I asked you, do you hate leprechauns? How many people here hate leprechauns? How many people here hate elves and dwarves? No one. Why? Because leprechauns, elves and dwarves all are a figment of your imagination. They don't exist. Santa Claus, no one hates Santa Claus, doesn't exist. The Easter Bunny, no one hates the Easter Bunny, doesn't exist. But atheists hate God. Why would you hate God if God doesn't exist? Because they know he exists. They know he exists, and this is why they bear the hatred. They hate God with so much intensity that Richard Dawkins, when he was asked if proof is given to you that God exists beyond doubt, what did he say? He said, even if proof was given to me, I would not believe in him because I hate him. He said this. In another argument, he said, I would not believe because some people are good conjurers. They'll make good tricks. In other words, he's looking for an out. Why? Because he has this hatred towards religion, because he has this hatred to these moral constraints and being put in a position to believe in something. Because realistically, why should it matter to an atheist if you believe in God? How do you affect atheists in your belief in God? Are we running around grabbing people out of their houses and telling them you must worship God? Follow God. Everyone goes about. In fact, on the contrary, the argument I always tell atheists, I go, you are fortunate. Benjamin Franklin, the guy on the $100 bill, everyone's seen him. Benjamin Franklin says man is so evil he says man is so evil with religion. Imagine without religion. Yeah, and we have constraints. We have the restraints of religion stopping us. That limits us from doing the extra yard. Imagine everyone here had no religion. If I asked you, imagine here, you were told right now, if you didn't fast, you would not be punished. How many people will fast tomorrow? If we have news that if you didn't fast, you will not be punished. It's mustahab. It's up to you. If you didn't go to Hajj, you would not be punished. If you didn't pray, how many people will stay praying? How many people will stay? What if they told you to have a relationship with someone, to do a aqd was istihbabi? How many people will do the aqd? Seriously, let's take a look at all these things. If you were allowed to be free, the religious constraints are what hold us back. They keep us in line. So the atheists, by trying to pull religion apart, what will they end up with? A lawless world, an anarchist world. But these people want to turn you back because they know it's the truth. Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لو يردونكم من بعد إيمانكم كفارا حسدا من عند أنفسهم من بعد ما تبين لهم الحق. That when we say waddu, that they would love, that the Ahlul Kitab would love to turn you back to this belief After you have believed, when people become believers, why? Because envy, because they haven't become believers. Why would they be envious? Because they know it's the truth. They know it's the truth, so they get upset that you've accepted. They want everyone to be lawless, because some people are under the impression if we're all bad, then God's going to say, because this is the Christian, this is basically what Christianity is about. Christianity, what's their religion about? They say when God sent down the 10 Commandments, He realized what? That humanity is hopeless. The humans are terrible. So He said, because I made the mistake, I put laws on a hopeless people, I will punish myself for this sin. So He sent down a piece of Himself, His one begotten Son, had Him crucified for everyone's sin, to expiate for His mistake by putting laws upon us. So could you imagine this? This is an idea where people came with, that God in the end will forgive everybody, so it's a free-for-all for us to do whatever we can do. So these people refused, so God made the rain cease. It stopped raining. What happened here? The people at the time of Salih, when they saw the rain cease, they started looking around rather than attack the problem. You know, when we have problems, when it stops raining, what do people say? Look at the world. What do they say when a calamity happens? If an earthquake happens, if people say, look, if there was a God, this would not have happened. This is the first thing they say. Who is this God that kills babies? Who's this God that brings disease? Who is this God that brings about the droughts? Then you ask them, were you righteous before all these things happened? Were you honest with your dealings? Have you ever heard of a people that were honest with one another, dealing equitably, dealing honestly, upholding the laws of God, praying to God, then Allah send His wrath upon them? No. You will never hear of this. The wrath of God comes from godlessness. People abstaining from God's law, like the people of Thamud that abstained, so God made the rain cease. There was a drought. So what did they do? Rather than fix the problem, they said, we've got an issue here. The problem must be from this guy, from Salih. See, the gods are upset. The gods that you and I both know, dafanne sawa, as they say. You know, we buried him together. You and I both know these gods aren't real. But these gods are upset because we've left Salih here. So what did they say? They said that we'd work on what they have. We hear this in Surah Yasin. Inna tatayyarna bikum. This form of premonition they have, these superstitious stuffs where they see into the future. How do they do it? Something got to do with an owl or a bird. They allow the bird to fly. If the bird flies right, then it's good premonition. Something good's going to happen. And if a bird flies left or something like that. They worked upon this and they came to a conclusion that you are an ill omen upon us, O Salih, we have to kill you. They said, قالوا طيرنا بك وبمن معك. So he had followers with him, believers, that we have taken to, that's why they say, the طيرنا is the use of طير. Okay. قال طائركم عند الله. Your problem, this omen, this issue is with God. It's not with me. God sees the rains. I'm not the one that stopped the rains. You know there's people that want to sue. They say, I want to sue God, so they want to sue the church. You got an issue, your problem's with God. And you don't believe He exists, so you got no problem. So what are you making a big issue about? بل أنتم قوم تفتنون. You are a people that have been tried. You are people that have been tested. So Allah is the one that has prevented the water from coming down. Now they had less than 10 groups with them. They had 9 groups, all heads of the family. And in order to commit a crime, if you never notice, when someone wants to kill someone, in order to make this crime get lost, get everyone involved. Do you understand what I mean? This is what they do in the certain places, where in the certain regions, when they do a mob lynching, they make sure they get one person from each group to get involved. So out of the 9 heads of the families, each head chooses one member of their family, and these members will come together. So they didn't actually choose one specific member, but in order for them to come together, they chose these groups, say for example 2 or 3 from every family. They'll come together, they'll kill Salih, but they'll all be involved. So there's no thar later. There's no revenge killing. Why? Because everyone's in on it. So everyone's accepted this, about this. So Allah says, Azza wa Jalla in the Quran, قَالُوا تَقَاسَمُوا بِاللَّهِ. تَقَاسَمُوا بِاللَّهِ. So they formed this conspiracy in groups. لا لنبيتنه وأهله ثم لنقولن لوليه ما شهدنا مهلك أهله وإنا لصادقون. So in other words, like I just mentioned, we make sure that it's done, so there's no one that's going to come back and take revenge on this. Obviously, whenever a plan or a plot takes place, Allah Azza wa Jal will always unravel it. And Allah will bring the prophets triumphant. See, because throughout history, one thing you will find, the antagonist in every story changes. But God is one. Allah Azza wa Jal is always the one with the protagonist. Allah Azza wa Jal is always with the hero in the story. So in this case, when they came in the night to kill him, in the morning, everyone was waiting to hear news that Salih and his followers had been killed. Instead, they came out in the streets and they witnessed a massacre. There were dead bodies everywhere. All the conspirators that had come to kill Salih were dead. There was no one in the street that was alive. Allah had sent angels in the night when they had come to kill him and sent them to kill them instead and unravel their plans. So upon seeing this, what did they do? See, before we continue with the story, what to do, there's a very important point I want to mention here. See, as Muslims, we have this issue. We always watch the news and look at the opponent or the one threatening Islam to be someone that's powerful. And we forget something, that you are a believer in God. Allah's religion will remain. Not only will it remain, it will grow. Allah's religion will always be defended by Allah Azza wa Jal. Doesn't matter how big your enemy is, how big the establishment is that works against you, Allah will always give triumph to the religion. There's a lot of situations we passed in our lives that were very good examples for us. If the Iraqi people remember the rule of Saddam during his time, everyone thought Saddam will rule forever. Even I remember at the time of the 2006 war in Lebanon, the initial assault by Israel, everyone thought it was the end, because Israel was attacking with what? Extreme prejudice. They were destroying everything. Everyone thought it was the end. Even with the rise of ISIS, when ISIS were making all these premium quality videos of them decapitating people, burning people, and recruitments and showing their show of force, everyone assumed what? How many people do you sit with that go, that's it, alamat al-dhuhur, it's the end, they're going to come and kill us, Imam Mahdi will come. Everyone straight away, the Muslims, they drop their arms, say it's all over, we surrender. The thing is, you forget, it doesn't matter what the enemy has. Salih alayhi salam was a man with a few followers, no one else. Everyone was against him. Everyone conspired against him. They were out to kill him. Allah Azza wa Jal makes you overcome your enemy. And you have to have faith in this. Why? Allah continues to show you this time after time after time again, that you will prevail in all situations. Now before we continue, inshallah, we'll finish off the remainder of the story tomorrow night. This is something in this month that you have to pray, and Allah Azza wa Jal hastens the reappearance of our Master Al-Hujjat ibn Hassan. Because all these things that are within us and the problems we have around us and all these disagreements, be it something as simple as what is the first day of Shahr Ramadan, to all these groups disliking each other and all these people that have raised their arms against Islam, your salvation and your relief comes with Dhuhur al-Hujjah. This is where it comes, with no one else. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal on this night to hasten the reappearance of our Master, Al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan, and grant us the opportunity to serve him and be martyred by his side. Bi barakat as-salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.